Um, hey everybody, Wallywood here. Here today to try to do a tutorial. I've had a few people ask me how I go about doing my edits and how I do it so quickly. What are some of my tricks and tips? So I'm just going to kind of go over some things that I do and some methods and programs that I use, and maybe to help you guys out. I'm not too familiar with GIMP. I'm not too familiar with Photoshop yet. But hopefully, with the stuff that I use, it may translate over to the programs that you guys use. So, first of all, I want to talk about the program that I use, and that would be paint.net. It's a free program. You can download it from paint.net. So, it's basically just MS Paint, but with a lot of the same features that Photoshop and GIMP actually offer. Um, so it's completely free. Go check it out. It's what I use, and if you don't like it or whatever, maybe I can try to learn this on another platform and try to show you guys some tricks there. But as of right now, this is what I use. So first of all, I want to get you guys' attention over here onto this area right here. This is my template that I've made. It looks a little congested with a bunch of different layers and things like that, but I'll kind of go over this and explain why this is useful and what this is useful for. You'll notice a few things right off the bat. You'll see like a little bit of the flesh color here. You'll see a shirt, a tank top, a singlet, and even like a logo from a Mick Foley shirt that I did a little while back. So all these pieces have a purpose. And what I usually like to try to do is try to find around the size or the object that I'm trying to get my print onto. So for example, if I'm making a t-shirt, I'm not going to be worried about tank tops, so we can go ahead and cut that off. We can cut off the singlet. And really all we need is the shirt and the logo. So we don't even need the body parts here. The body parts can be cut off. You don't even necessarily need the grid. It's just kind of a good thing to have in case you are doing a big area at once. It's good to just kind of break it up, or especially if you have a big area of an object. Like I just recently did Glacier's armor, for example, and a bit of his armor had a tendency to kind of go off the shoulder here, and that grid was really good about making sure that it didn't get too far into this area. So keeping that grid like that is just kind of a good separation tool. This is a very basic tutorial today. So we're going to be just talking about the easiest and fastest way to do a t-shirt or a logo on like the front of the chest. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. And if this tutorial does well, we can look at doing more advanced things later. Faces, armors, things that kind of hang off the body or things that need to be attached to the body. That is if this works out. I know I've looked on YouTube, looked for tutorials, looked for easier ways to do this. I couldn't find a lot out there. I did find a few here and there, but nothing that really helped explain it. It was through a lot of trial and error on my half that I actually had to kind of figure this out on my own. But I did, and I got to say, to toot my own horn a little bit, I think I did rather well. So I'm going to try to throw that knowledge to you guys. So first and foremost, let's look at our design. Right here, we're going to be doing a Stone Cold shirt today. So reference art is very important when it comes down to picking your design that you want to do. Stone Cold Steve Austin, this is a shirt from around the Attitude Era. Very popular shirt. So finding source material for shirts is not difficult on Google. Just type in the shirt, type in the word shirt, and most of the time you'll find it. So reference art is very important because this is the stuff that you need to clean up to make it look right. If I were to take this whole entire square and copy it over here, it is going to be an absolute nightmare to try to like get it to be the right size, to get it to move to the right area. You'd have to even get it to the right shape before you could even use it. So why not make it easy on ourselves? We're just going to delete this layer. We're going to go back in here and we're going to go ahead and clean it up. So this part does take a bit of time depending on the quality of your image. Luckily today we're going to be doing a black t-shirt. So it won't be very difficult at all for us to just kind of come in here and clean up this area. There's a magic wand tool, and I believe that this is a universal tool. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is on GIMP and Photoshop and most photo editing softwares. I'm going to set my tolerance to about 32. And I'm going to try to clear out as much of the black as possible. If you don't get all the black out of the t-shirt, it's fine, because this is basically going to go on a black shirt anyway. If it was going on something red or, green or blue, something that the black would actually show up, on pretty badly, you might not want to leave a lot of the black. But in this case, it's okay to leave a little bit. As you can see that we've cleaned this up. It looks clean, but we don't know for sure. So to double check it, I see that there's a little hangout part right here. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of that. What I like to do is almost do like a green screen effect. You'll see that I have like a really bright teal color. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna add another layer. Okay, I'm gonna move it down one to where the image is now on the top. So I want my Stone Cold image right here at the top, and I'm gonna fill that in. Okay, as you can see, a little bit of area right there around the eye that we need to clean up. So I'm kind of glad that we did this. Get an eraser, come in here, set the size. You can kind of get away with some things, or you can even use that same tool that you were using before. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and set the tolerance all the way to 100 and just kind of delete. Inadvertently deleted the blue. That's why undo is such a good thing to have. But you can come in here and you can kind of just delete the black areas, just to kind of make sure it's all nice and clean. The cleaner it looks, the less pixelation on the final product. So always remember that cleaning it up is definitely worth it. You don't want to sacrifice quality, especially whenever it's going to be downgraded to the size that it's going to be downgraded to. So let's go ahead and get back over here to our template, and let's copy this image right here. We're just going to copy it, and we're going to paste it as a new layer. When we do, we see that we have it labeled as layer 14. Now, if you're using a template like this, or one that I've made, or one that you've made, or whatever, I recommend going up here and naming this whatever you need to name it. So in this case, we're going to go Stone Cold Shirt logo. Okay. So this shirt logo is now a separate piece than any other part here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start sizing it to the right size. I'm going to try to lower it down. I'm going to try to make sure that I keep it as big as possible to fit the shirt, but also enough to where it's going to look good too. So there we go. Something like that, I think, looks pretty daggone close. And you want to try to like match it up. So we're going to try to get it as in the middle as possible. Okay. So I'm kind of glad that this happened the way it did, because this is a white skull and we're right now putting it on a white shirt. So we're going to fix that. Luckily in paint.net, I can come in here and highlight just the layer on t-shirt, and I can actually invert the color. So then it looks like I'm placing it on a black shirt, and I actually can see what the skull looks like on a shirt that's closer to. You can do this in many different ways. You can actually adjust the colors to fit whatever you need to do, but in most cases, white or black is going to give you about the idea about what your shirt's going to look like in game. So just to kind of show you where we're at here, we're going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to check it out. It's a little pixelated, but it'll look fine in game. If you want to go back in there and kind of mess around with the size a little bit, you can. But for the most part, people are going to see this design with this logo off of it. You'll be able to tell that's a Stone Cold shirt. And that's really the main idea here, is just knowing what that shirt is. Your eyes will fill in the blanks. Don't worry about it being perfect. It doesn't have to be. It's a 2D sprite-based game, and it already pixelates by itself. But, but I'm also here to just kind of tell you, this is just my method. If you want to make sure that everything looks crisp, clean, it's fine. Do you. I'm just showing you what I did. So I'm going to turn back on my Mick Foley logo here, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I like to do here. At this point in time, I have the right size, and I can go in here and I can kind of move this around. Do I want it to be higher? Do I want it to be lower? And in this case, I want it to kind of be more closer to the middle. I also like to try to find a consistent area that I can find on each one of the logos to kind of place it. So, for example, If you want it to go right underneath the chin, you're going to want the eyes to match up with the eyes. Or if you want it to go a little bit lower, the curve of the skull can match up with the curve of the smiley face. Just something to keep it consistent. Until you get to that point to where you kind of just memorize what angle and what layer it needs to be set at. All right, so right here, this is about the size that we want. And I'm just going to copy this and actually paste it as a new image. Now, I know that we have it here, but this is our size that we want it. So I'm just going to keep it right there, just in case if I need to paste it again, or if I lose something, like if I accidentally have to erase something or clean up something and I don't have a copy of the first layer that we made. Because size and you don't want to be inconsistent on the size. You don't want one skull to be way bigger on another side of the t-shirt than it is in game. It will like start to flip-flop really badly and it won't be a clean move. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and copy that same layer and I'm going to paste it again and we're just going to move it. All right. And we're going to get it lined up with that smiley face and then we're going to do that same thing again over here to this one. And notice how I'm kind of keeping it consistent here. Same height, same everything. The only difference is the overhang. Do not freak out about getting the entire thing on the shirt. It doesn't have to be that way. It's fine that part of it gets cut off. It adds to the three-dimensional effect. So we're having to fake a lot of angles here because it's very difficult to send a photo into a 3D program every time. So by doing this and getting it close to the side and letting it be cut off from the vision is actually a really good method. So because these three right here are finalized and they look fine, we're going to go ahead and merge the layers over here. And then we're going to repeat the same process to the layer beneath. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. Because once we move this layer up, we're going to need to fit it better to the inside of the shirt. So we're going to actually put the top about to the top to where it would be here, but we're just going to move it up from the bottom. Moving it up from the bottom gives it kind of an angled look, as if you're looking at it from the bottom to the top. So almost like it's flipped backwards a little bit. And then you can just copy this layer, paste it, take it over here, and then kind of slightly move it. Now, as you'll see, it's going to unfocus a little bit. It's going to pixelate a little bit more as you turn it. That's fine. These angles are going to pixelate. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't care how good you are with Photoshop. I don't care how good you are with any of these programs. They will pixelate. Now, there is an ability, you do have an ability to control the pixelation. And here's what I mean by that. If I take this layer and I paste it, and then I turn it, and then I copy this layer, and then I paste that, it's going to come out pixelated just like the one prior. And if I move this, it's going to come out even worse. The reason why is because you're already starting out with a pixelated image, right? So whenever you turn it, you're just unfocusing the unfocused picture that much further. So you don't have to go about that way. You can just delete that, start it over from the centered upright portion, copy it over, and then move it to where you need to move it, and then slowly slurn it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So as you can see, a bit of overhang here, and we're just going to repeat that to every place that has a Mick Foley smiley face in it. Now, there is another trick that you can do, and this is one I like to use if I'm in a rush, but you got to be very careful because this can get very tempting. And if you do it too much, you will wind up with unfocused pixels. It will look horrible. I am guilty of it in a few of my previous beginning edits. You may even seen it. You may even go, wow, that is really unfocused, and I don't understand. So here's what I had a bad habit of doing. There's a button over here that says duplicate layer. It's right here. Very easy to just hit this button and get a whole nother copy of the one that you just did and bring it over here and then turn it. Now, the problem with that is I had a bad habit of duplicating the layer from this point to go into the next area. But I just showed you why that's a bad idea. Turning an unfocused picture pixelates it even more. So if you're going to do that method, instead of copying the layer from the last one that you just did that's turned, just go back down to the last one that you did that isn't turned and just do it from that one. And it will save you a little bit of time here. And as you can see, there you go. Now, if you have one that shares a similar angle, it's fine. Like, for example, this one right here is a very close angle. So we can just literally copy it over, drag and drop, turn it slightly, because really it's not going to affect the angle too much right there because you can still make out the shape. This is not a very common area right here. This particular angle is not common. It is, but a lot of times there's an arm covering up this area of the shirt. So seeing it a little bit pixelated, not going to hurt it. But I'm not going to be a bad example, so I'm just going to do it from the previous layer. Turn it from there. Turn it. There you go. And you know what? I am going to copy this one and send it over here. And then for that one at the top, we're going to just move that down. And as you see, we've already got, what, 12 rows done that quick. And we only have a few more left. Oops, I moved him. We're going to move him back up here. Okay. So to kind of fast forward things along, I have already done this on a previous thing. It literally takes me about 5 minutes for a front-facing logo. The only reason why it's taking me about 15 now is because I'm explaining every little detail. But on a faster note, I've made this one last night. This is one I already did for the skull. So this is the point to where everything is where it needs to be. All the skulls, all the smiley faces, everything is right lined up the way it would be in game. Now, there are a few angles here that I don't have completely done, like for example, this one right here and this one right here. This is a side view. You can go back and add these, and for the sake of this video, because I don't want to be accused of being lazy, I will. I will go ahead and add in the ones here. So we're just going to copy and paste it, and then I'm just going to move it halfway onto here. We don't want to see a lot of it. Just a little bit of the smoke would be fine. And again, we can get away with our little copy layer here. And just move it there, and that should cover everything. Now, if we were doing a back logo, you would need to go in here and do all the back logos. A lot of my templates come with something that says front or back on the template to let you know where the back is, where the front is. And whenever we get into the thigh art and the waist, you'll see a little bit more in-depthly. I actually have like detailed areas set up that say like, this is the front, this is the back, this is the inner thigh, this is the outer thigh. But for the sake of a shirt, it's not going to be very difficult. As you can see here, we have a lot of layers now. We have just a bunch here that seem to be scattered out, and then I have everything down here. So I'm going to go ahead and merge all of these layers that we've added into one layer, and that's called the Stone Cold Shirt. And now what I'm going to do is the cleanup. A lot of people think that you just need to grab this eraser and go in here and clean up any of the overhang. Don't put yourself through that. You will be in there deleting and having to clean up and undo and redo so many times. So the easier way is just let it do the work for you. Here's what I mean by that. Highlight the t-shirt area, right? Take your magic wand, click anywhere on the outside of the shirt, and you're going to get a highlight around the shirt itself. Anything that's on the inside of that shirt is fine, because that means that that's where the logo is going to sit. Anything on the outside is about to be deleted. So it's going to go ahead and do all the angles for you. So highlight that, get that to where you need to do. Now, here's where the trick is. Go back up here and click on the Stone Cold Shirt layer. After you do that, hit delete. Everything on the outside of the shirt disappears. We can cut off the McFoley logo. We don't need it anymore. And boom, we have a nice, clean, angled logo for your shirt. This is a very simple way to do this. I'm sorry that this tutorial is going on 20 minutes, but I just felt like this is the easiest way to show people how to do this. When you export the picture and when you're ready and you're happy with it, just come in here, cut off the t-shirt, cut off the grid, cut off the background, and then just export the picture itself into your craft data and then export it using the internal tools in FirePro. This is a very clean setup. I'm actually going to go ahead and save this, and we'll go ahead and publish it today, as a matter of fact. Just kind of show you how easy it is. Now, I'm going to go in here and just go Stone Cold shirt logo. Here's something else I like to do. I like to write what area it's going to go in. So I'll write chest, thigh, wrist, or I don't even think wrist is a thing. Waist, upper arm, lower arm. You get the drift. The reason why I like to write that is because you will have so many people message you and say, okay, I tried to put your icon, where it was supposed to go, and I can't put it on the chest. And I'm like, well, it's because it's for the waist. Try putting it on the waist. This also helps you keep track of how you need to export it into either Steam or PS4. Whether it's a chest, waist, calf layer, that does matter. However you export it as a base or a layer, that matters. So make sure you kind of label it for yourself, and it takes a bit of that headache out of the especially if you're doing a lot of pieces at once. It'll take that headache out. So I'm going to make sure I save it as a PNG. Make sure you always save it as a PNG. It doesn't work as anything else. And we're just going to save, hit OK, and it's going to flatten it. But just to make sure that everything, because I cannot assume that everything's perfect here at this point. As easy as it would be for me to say, oh, we're done, we're not. Hit Control-Z, undo that, or just come up here and click undo, and now I've got all my layers back. And the reason why we want to do this is because we are not quite done. After we test it, there may be some angles that need to be adjusted. There may be some things that need to be deleted, or even the worst case scenario, if it's put on a shirt that was too big or too small. Okay, so this is where things get a little tricky sometimes. And sometimes people wonder, why is my art overhanging a certain area in game, and it didn't whenever I was working on the outskirts? All right, so here's the best way to answer this question. And I'm going to use the Stone Cold logo here. I'm going to take off the shirt logo, and I'm going to take off the t-shirt layer, and I'm just going to kind of show you what's up. You have different size bodies in this game. You have male small, you have male medium, male large, giant, bodybuilder, and then of course you have female. So by unclicking these, you can see the size difference gets smaller and bigger. Now, what they don't tell you is that every shirt technically has a size for every one of these bodies. That's what that dash, like if your item is like item 15, that's why it's item 15-1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Because it's made to fit a certain body type. So as you can see here, we have medium. We have a medium shirt on a small body, and it fits, but it's not perfect. Now, if I were to come in here and I were to pick the medium body, as you can see, it kind of overhangs slightly because this is actually a small shirt. So, yeah, perfect as small, not so perfect as medium. And even worse if you were to try to put on a large or a bodybuilder or even a giant. You'll see a lot of overhang there on the shirt. Okay, so there's a little rule of thumb that I like to use here. To me, I'd rather my edit be cut off a little bit closer to the edge than I would for it to overhang the edge. And here's what I mean by that. If you run across this right here in game, that area right there, you're going to see that overhang in game. It is going to stick out like a sore thumb. Okay. Now, if it were to cut it off a little bit beside, the angle here, like if I were to highlight this shirt with the magic wand and then delete the Stone Cold Steve Austin area, let's just delete it right here. If that were to be overhung a little bit, you're going to see that. Now, if it cuts off a little too soon, to me, that's the better of the two. Because most of the time, you're going to be seeing it from an angle anyway, so it'll fix. But the angle will be very obvious if it's got overhang. So, to me, it's always better to do your decals and your logos on the smallest that you can. Now, if you're working on something for like the Giant or something like Hogan or something like a luchador, where they're going to have a smaller body type or a bigger body type, that is going to be something right there that you can just pretty much choose. Like, okay, you know that almost any good edit for the Giant is going to use the Giant build. So it's fine to make something custom for that size. But if you're going to make something that's universal that might be good for all sizes, like let's say you wanted to make an NWO shirt. You had guys like Lex Luger, you had guys like Sting, which were very close and similar in body type and build. But then you had guys like Kevin Nash, who were much bigger. Or, Vincent, for example. I believe that, yeah, Vincent, yeah. So Vincent was smaller, right? So a large emblem isn't going to work for Vincent the same way it's going to work for, Nash. So deleting that overhang may make it look better on Vincent, but it will at least fit on Nash too. Now, if you were to do it the other way around, where you catered it for Nash, it's going to overhang like crazy on Vincent. So to me, the better of the two evils, instead of having to go out there and make 5 different logos for every different body type, is just to make the smaller one. And then in game, it'll look fine because most of the time you're seeing the character from the angle anyway. So it's not going to have that much of an effect. All right, so I'm going to go and wrap it up. We're pushing on 30 minutes. So I'm just going to go and end this. But if you guys really like this, send it a like, send me a message. Just let me know if there's anything I didn't answer or if there's anything else I can answer in my next one. If you guys like this, subscribe to it, like it, do whatever you got to do. Just shoot me a message, tell me thanks, or hey, you sound stupid because you're Southern. Whatever, I don't care. Just let me know you saw it. And if you guys like it, I'll do more. But if not, this will be the one and only. So I hope it helps. And if it does, great. If not, I'm sorry. I tried my best. So you guys have a great day. This is Wallywood signing off. Bye-bye.